In passing these three important legislations, Dr. Singhvi, new criminal laws, the Home Minister says he's ending a colonial legacy, that the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sahita has Indianized a colonial legacy of criminal laws. Do you accept that this was a much needed reform in our criminal justice system?
Rajdeep, what has been done, far from being much needed, is not required at all and is retrograde. What a law does is what matters, not rhetoric about colonial laws. A colonial law may be good and your modern law may be bad. And if the reverse is true, then the former must be amended and substituted by good law, not because it is colonial, but because you're bringing something good. This is a classic case of cosmeticism at its worst. Khoda pahad, chuya bhi nahi nikli. And I will demonstrate to you immediately why. What was required, first of all, very, very cosmetic, much more so than you think. What was required by way of structural, of course, laws require reform. They require out of need, not done at all. What is done in many, many ways, of course, I can't cover all the examples, is retrograde. And it is really but a ego-based namkaran naming exercise. You must leave your imprint on everything. You must leave your identity on everything.
Dr. Singhvi, sorry to intervene. The fact is, you're using words like retrograde. You're saying it's cosmetic, it's ego-driven. But let's turn to specifics. Forget the rhetoric. We want to focus on the law itself. Now, for a long time, Dr. Singhvi, you know that those in the criminal justice system, whether police officers, judges, lawyers, all of them have been calling for reforms. The government says this is part of the reforms, and they claim that police powers are actually being controlled, will not be arbitrary, and the laws itself are more citizen-centric. Can you tell me, when you say retrograde, be more specific?
So, Rajdeep, the devil and God both lie in the details. Let's take them one by one. Let me give you straight away 3 or 4 genuinely needed structural reforms not done. And let me then give you 4 or 5 done which are retrograde. Now, you mentioned just now police reforms. That's one of the, so this is actually a lost opportunity because of rhetoric and namkaran and, ego. Police reforms have been talked about in innumerable law commission reports by 3 Supreme Court judgments called Prakash Singh, etc. The simple point there is separate genuinely by Chinese walls. Chinese is not fashionable now, so Indian walls. The prosecution part and the investigation part. Have you done it? You lost the opportunity to do it. I would have welcomed it. You have the fantastic example, of course, an extreme example of the district attorney in the US. You have the director of public prosecutions in England. We have those posts intra-department, but they are meaningless because there is no genuine separation. And that, what suffers is objectivity, transparency, and impartiality. Just take an ordinary IO. You are a journalist of very senior repute, Rajdeep. You know what a poor IO does? He gets up in the morning,
information
he goes
officer,
into the field and collects evidence. Obviously, he gets attached to the limited evidence he collects. By 12 o'clock, he lands up in some court to do evidence. Comes home in the afternoon, comes to the office in the afternoon, sits in his own department with some seniors to decide whether the evidence he has collected should be prosecutable or not, and then files a report in the court. Now, this is completely apart from, of course, this is apart from doing his boss's bidding and, doing menial tasks. Now, this is completely the antithesis of a good police department. They should have, as a first reform, not done, missed opportunity, made these walls between the collection of evidence and the decision to prosecute. Then, of course, the second one is to make it much more reformative, not punitive. Increase the number of compoundable offenses. There are innumerable number of petty offenses which are not compoundable. Impersonating a public servant, some petty organized crime. I'm giving only examples because I don't have time to go into the details. But that is a reform I would have welcomed. Punishment alignment. You'll be surprised how many offenses are serious, but the punishment is minor. And vice versa. Align those things. For bribery for elections, how much is the punishment? 1 year. And because you have an agenda in the love jihad, you've made a new offense, which I'll come to on the retrograde category, of 10 years. Riots provocation is 6 months. Do these alignments. Of course, this part I must end by telling you one good thing they've done on this. And the good thing is that they brought in community service as a punishment. I welcome that. I only say there that that list where you can award community punishment instead of incarceration should be increased to many, many, many more offences. But of course, should be excluded for second, third time repeat offenders. Both these last two things have not been done.